Hello and welcome to Rando Tech Info and my unboxing, setup, and review of my first ever smartphone gimbal. In fact, this is the first gimbal of any kind I will have had any experience with. And I went with the DJI OM4 here because it seemed to get, of all the reviews out there, and there's a ton of smartphone gimbal reviews out there, and a lot of them are quite good. In fact, I will link a couple of the best ones down in the description below. But this was the one that seemed to review the most consistently. Now granted, it's $150, which is a little bit on the pricey side for smartphone gimbals, but with the feature set that it seems to have, I thought it was worth it. The other cool thing that I thought was real neat about this gimbal that a lot of other gimbals don't have is magnets. So there are magnets that you can put on the back of your phone, either with a clip or with a sticker, that will allow you to really balance this thing very quickly out of the box, which is something as a novice user I'm very interested in. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of people have already reviewed this thing, but I think I'm bringing a different and very valuable perspective here. I don't know what I'm doing. And I think that that's relevant because a lot of you out there, if you're watching this video, you probably don't know what you're doing either. So is this thing worth the money? Is this thing worth $150 for a novice or a somewhat beginner filmmaker to use? Is this a good investment? Now, some of you who have been following this channel for a while might be saying to yourself, you've been doing this for almost a couple of years now, you're not really a novice. And I do a lot of these talking headshots, but I don't actually do a lot of like B-roll footage or a lot of action shots. And when I do my B-roll footage, I use this thing. I've been using this and it's not bad. It allows me to give a more stable grip on my phone, which is what I've always used for my camera. I've used different phones over the years, but I've always just used the camera on my phone. I've never had a designated camera, and I've always just held it, you know, like this, and tried to keep my arms as steady as I could when I panned or did B-roll or stuff like that. And I've hesitated to do other action shots because I felt like I haven't had a good way to do it, a way to make it look professional and a way to make it look proper. So I'm hoping this will kind of give me some more creative freedom and open up some different ideas for me as far as how to film my videos. So enough talk, let's unbox this sucker. It's very nice packaging. Like, this is a very sturdy box. Create magnetic moments. Oh, and it's got a nice little, some instructions up here. To kind of see, you know, some quick instructions to see what you're doing. Here is the gimbal itself. It's sturdy. Like, it feels heavy. Not in a bad way. It just feels very well made. Here's the one magnet, the sticker magnet that I told you about before, and then here's the clip that can go on your phone as well if you don't want to permanently adhese it there. Let me try to, yeah. That's heavy, that's a sturdy magnet, that's good. One of the reasons I chose this gimbal was that apparently it can handle the weight of my S21 Ultra, so that's a big deal. So yeah, that's really nice. Let's see, and then it's got, of course, a tripod stand here, so you can screw this onto the bottom of it and open this up, and you get a more stationary device. And apparently it can track you, like you can set it to track something and then move back and forth and have it track and pan and everything else. So that's kind of cool. I'm excited to try that out. Let's set this over here. Let's see what else we got here in the pamphlet. Oh, this isn't the actual magnet. This is just a pad that actually goes on this if you have a smaller phone. The actual magnet one is here. And then this is a little template to make sure you get it centered on your phone. I'm actually gonna put it on a phone case. That way I'll have like my gimbal case that I pop on my phone. That'll always have this on the back of it. I'm not gonna stick it directly to my phone, and I would recommend you do the same. If you're gonna put this on your phone, actually put it on a case and just make that your gimbal case. Extra sticker, instruction manuals. And then over here, you've got the little carry cord that I think you would put on this bag. And this is a bag, a carry bag, that you can use to carry it around in. Now actually, I bought separately, and it was around, I think, $18 on Amazon. I got this case instead to use with it because I was worried about carrying it around in just this little sack. And there are some other gimbals out there, cheaper ones, that come with a case. So once again, if money is an issue for you, this is a little on the pricey side. It only comes with this bag for carrying it around. But this was like, it was under 20 bucks. I think this one was $16 or $18. There are a ton of them out there for this gimbal. And yeah, so as advertised. And as you can see, it's actually got like a gimbal size space. So it's not one of those generic, you just stick it in some netting and it can bounce around in the case. This is actually a gimbal size case. So it shouldn't move around too much when it's in here. Let's see how well it fits. Yeah, so fits in there pretty well. You know, as you can see, that'll be good. I'll feel a lot better carrying it around in here than I will, let's say, in the bag. Now, I'm going to download the app for this thing. There's an app that allows you to do certain, like, I think, pans and scans, and you can rotate, do all kinds of different shots using the app. Now, the interesting thing is, apparently the app is not that great. Like, a lot of people complain about the app. They say it's the worst part about the gimbal, and apparently getting a good gimbal app on an Android device is almost impossible. On iOS devices, it can be a little better, although I've heard the app isn't great on iOS devices either. So the workaround that I've heard about that you use is you simply use your native camera app or Filmic Pro with the thing. If you use that, if you want to be able to do the finer adjustments like with your focus and exposure and all that, and then bounce back and forth between that camera app and the gimbal app, because that will allow you to kind of get the best of all worlds. And it's kind of a pain to have to switch back and forth, but apparently that's what you need to do. So even if it's not ideal, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to go ahead and download the app. I think it's called the Mimo app, and then I will let you know how that goes. So here is the app on the Google Play Store. I got all my personal information entered, and now I need to install the phone before activating, as the gimbal might jitter because of unevenly distributed loads. Now it's bringing me to a page where it's going to try to make me buy an accidental protection plan that I don't want. And now it's making me go to a questionnaire. This is kind of a pain in the butt. Okay, so there were 12 questions. Like, this has not been a quick or easy process. There are 12 questions I had to actually get through to get to here. Okay, so I've went ahead and put the clip on the phone here, and it's kind of neat. I was able to put the clip, and I'm going to put the sticker on a case later, like I said, and have it be permanently centered and all that stuff using the nifty little template. But for now, I just put the clip on it. You can actually put the clip like over the power button, which is nice. I was worried it would like press on it, but it kind of angles over the side. It's hard to explain, but it's not hitting the power button, but I was able to put it kind of across the center of the back of the phone. I'm gonna put it on the gimbal, and it looks like there is this very specific way you have to do that lines it up properly, and I've done that. Okay, and now I can turn this on. Oh, looky there. And I'm using the joystick now on the front of the gimbal. And you see what it's doing. It's tilting the phone one way or the other. That's hitting up and down. Now I'm gonna hit left, and then I'm gonna hit right. What happens if I hit the trigger? Oh, wow, okay. Oh, look at that. So there it flipped it, but like, yeah, look how steady that is. Oh, and if you go too far, it does flip it. That's kind of cool. And if you don't hold down the trigger, it just kind of goes loose. But if I hit the trigger, you see, then it centers itself up. That's really, that's wild. That's cool though. I like it. It does hit. You gotta be careful. It will hit the arm. I'm sure that's not the fault of the gimbal. That's user error, but that's, oh, it hit the arm. Ah,
hours later.
So I feel like I have at least a basic grasp about how this thing works. I'm actually gonna go and watch some tutorial videos, either with the Mimo app or just most likely just watch some other YouTubers with how to most effectively use this thing. And then I'm gonna be going on a trip this weekend down to Memphis, and I'm gonna bring the gimbal with me, and I'm going to embarrass my wife, and I'm gonna pull this thing out and I'm gonna use it, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna report back to you and show you some of the footage that I took and let you know how it went. So here I'm walking down Beale Street, and as you can see, it's not too jiggly. I'm gonna actually hold down the trigger now and hope it lock in and make it even a little smoother. But I'm not duck walking, my knees aren't bent. I'm just doing a complete, just a normal walk. And I feel like the footage is really, really smooth. So there's gonna be a lot of applications, I think, for this moving forward, especially if I start doing more outdoor shots. So here we got Sun Studios, landmark here in Memphis. Looks good. And you can kind of pan around and get an idea of everything going on. It's a pretty wide pan. You can really go around a long way with it. And you can run with it. So like right now I'm running, this is with the trigger up. When I hold down the trigger, I feel like it really holds a pretty steady shot. So one of the things you can do in the Mimo app is change the functionality of the joystick. So here I changed it from pan to rotate to give us kind of this cool cinematic effect. Once I made the change though, I was able to actually record with my native camera app. So I didn't have to actually do the recording with the Mimo app. And then you can also change the speed if you really want to make yourself sick. Now, this is a shot you have to actually do within the Mimo app, and it's called Dynazoom. And what this does is it's supposed to give you kind of that vertigo effect, like you're getting closer to something, but it keeps getting farther away from you at the same time. It kind of worked. You can see it's very grainy. The video quality is definitely not as good with the Mimo app, but it kind of worked. Something else you can do with the Mimo app is take some really wide panoramic shots. As you can see here, I got a much wider shot using the app than I would have just using my native camera app using the ultra wide lens. And it does this by setting up the gimbal with the tripod, and it actually rotates the camera to 3 separate positions, taking a picture in each position, and then those are stitched together to make the shot. And since it's stitching 3 separate shots together to create the picture, if you want to be a doofus and run into each one of those shots, you can actually replicate yourself, which is kind of cool. So getting back to the original question we asked at the beginning of this video, is this device worth $150 for a beginner or for a novice filmmaker? And I would say the answer is definitely yes. Yes, it is. Worth it, but not essential. Sound is definitely more important, so get that straightened out first. Your lighting is more important, so make sure you get that straightened out first to make sure you get yourself a nice 3-point lighting setup if you don't already have one. But after you have the basics down, if you have the money, if you have $150, I do think it's worth it. Even if you don't have $150, there are much cheaper options out there. The OM4, which was the predecessor to this gimbal, I think can be bought right now off of DJI's website for $99. It's over $50 cheaper than the 4, so that's an option. There are even cheaper options out there that review very well. So it's not like you have to drop $150 to get a good gimbal. I see it having a lot of potential uses for me, and I'm just a tech review guy. If you're a true cinematographer or a true videographer, I think this could be a very good piece of hardware to help you get very professional looking shots. And if nothing else, it's just a lot of fun to use. Last but not least, when choosing a gimbal, whether it's this one or another one, don't get hung up on the app. There are a lot of reviews out there, people complaining about their gimbals or even returning them because of the lack of functionality of the apps. But you don't really need to use the app to get most of the functionality out of the gimbal, especially if you're using an Android device where the apps do not seem to be very well optimized. And the app for this gimbal was a perfect example. The Mimo app did a pretty good job with the pano shots, but the video coming out of it looked very grainy and quite frankly was really not usable. And that's okay, because 99% of the cool stuff you can do with a gimbal does not require an app. You're probably going to want to download the app for your gimbal because there's settings that you can change within the app, but when you actually go to film, you can just use your native camera app, or like I said before, Filmic Pro, and you can record everything just fine with that. Well, that's all the information I had today about the DJI OM4 smartphone gimbal. If you have a smartphone gimbal, whether this one or any other one, please put your experiences down in the comments so other people can learn from you and make more informed buying decisions. As always, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Rando Tech Info signing out.